Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and my girlfriend Kathy asked me to make her a card holder. And I'm talking about this type of card holder. It's an easy project, and we're not going to need a lot of supplies. Chances are you have it already at home to start. For this card holder, we're going to need 2 old DVDs. They can be scratched, they're going to be covered. Some quilt batting, 2 little pieces of fabric, 2 buttons, some strong sewing thread. We need to cut out a circle of fabric that is going to fit this DVD so that it comes close to that center. I have found an 8.5-inch circle works great. You can draw out a circle on your own, and you can also look at a bread and butter plate. That often is a great size for this. We're going to need 2 pieces of fabric, 1 to go with each of our DVDs. And we're going to need some batting. I have some nice fluffy wool batting that's left over. I'm going to use that, and there's a simple way of trimming this. We need to trim it to that circle shape. So just put your 2 DVDs together. Just make sure that those edges match up, and you can feel that they're matched up. And then just take your scissors and squeeze that together and then just cut around. It doesn't have to be exact, but it does really make it cut very easily. Now we're going to put these together. You're going to need a nice long piece of strong thread. It needs to be very strong because you are going to really be giving it a good pull. A button twist thread or a nylon thread does work well. I have a double piece and I've put a knot in the bottom. Now I'm going to do a running stitch all the way around the outside. And normally I like to do big stitches, but in this case I want small stitches. If you use big stitches, when this gathers up, you're going to have big folds, and we want small little gathers. So take your needle and thread and just go all the way around doing a nice small running stitch. When I started stitching, I had this knot, and that knot made a loop on the end. I'm going to use that to my advantage. Put your needle through the middle of that loop. Put your little batting on top of that DVD and place it in the center. Now when you pull this thread, it's going to gather everything up. That loop is going to make sure that the knot doesn't pull through the fabric, and you can really give a good tight pull on it. Just adjust that so that that gather comes in the center. I've pulled quite hard, and if I had just a knot, chances are that knot would just pop all the way through. I'm going to pull that tight, push down right there where the knot is going to be. Just tie a knot by just slipping through one of the folds and then tying it off. And a second knot doesn't hurt. So we have the puffiness on the one side, and this side has small little gathers. If we did that big running stitch, these would be up higher and not as flat. Now I like to leave this thread on because I am going to use it. And I'm going to put that needle right through the center. And that's where my button is going to go. And I can use 2 different buttons. It won't matter. I'm going to do the loop through the button and then come back out through that hole. And when I pull that button in, it's going to really secure it. Now go through the next hole, through that back side. So we're making a little bit of a sandwich here. I have 2 ends now, and I'm going to tie them off. Get it as tight as you can. Tie a couple of knots, and then leave one end on with the needle, and you can trim off that second. And I do like to leave just a little tail. Now put on the next button. Go through that side and line it up, and then go through the next button. So I just need to go back and forth and stitch these 2 buttons together as tight as I can. We will end up with this little space in between that will be held together with those 2 buttons. I go through quite a few times and make that nice and tight. Now I'm going to be able to tie that button off, and it is very tight, so it is going to be very hard for me to get under that button. So I'm going to use some of the threads right at the top. I'm going to put the needle through the threads in that button. I'm going to do that loop and tie it off. And yes, I'm going to tie that off a couple of times. And I get to trim that off. That's all there is. That's all we need. This is complete. And we're going to be able to put the cards in between. And it holds a lot of cards. There's 24 cards right here in between. This is definitely a lot easier than trying to hold on and keep all of your cards organized. They're quick and easy to make. A little bit of fabric and some old DVDs. They're fun projects. You could customize that fabric. They're good for children all the way up to, well, someone who just likes to have a lot of cards. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. And be sure to make every day a Sewtacular day. Bye for now. Your turn.